We welcome you to another year where we commemorate the Shahada, the greatest Shahada that this planet, this universe, creation has ever witnessed. The Shahada of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam, the grandson of the Holy Prophet of Allah, Nabi al-A'zam Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alih. And it's apt that Mulla Ali begins with this recitation, "Oh Allah, grant us this shafa'ah of Hussein alayhi salam." And it's this time where each of our hearts and each of our minds, they kind of enter a new trance. No matter what we've been facing in the last year, in the last months, in the last weeks, in the last days, something about these 10 days, it's like a catalyst. It takes us out of everything else and accelerates us towards something new. But something so familiar, but we pray it's something new, and I'll discuss why something new. But inshallah, over these 10 nights, as I like to try and call this session, it's the post-majlis majlis. It's once you've finished your majlis at home, for those of you more so in Europe, that you've come home and you're switching off for the night and you just want to reflect a little bit. A little bit of emotion, a little bit of reflection, a little bit of emotion, a little bit of reflection. That's inshallah what our plan is to bring to you over these 10 nights with myself, with Mulla Ali, and with a multitude of guests and reciters that you'll know who will be joining us across the 10 nights, inshallah. And if you have anything that you would like to share with us, just drop us a message and to the team, and we'll try and inculcate that into one of the nights for you. But we'll keep it quite broad, but specifically journeying towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the vehicle that is Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Mulla Ali, a'adhamullah ajurna wa ajurakum. How's everything?
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah?
We're doing well, doing well.
I was just thinking, as you were reciting that, it was kind of like, it always feels a bit nostalgic, right? Night one, I feel always is a little bit nostalgic.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, a year. It's been a year since we were sat here when, no, I don't think it was any majalis. I think this was our only majalis. We're kind of like, this is what we had. And even at that, it was a blessing that this is what we had.
Alhamdulillah, yeah.
But a year. Can you believe it's a year?
Yeah, I mean, a lot happened during this year, especially where we are at in the UK. You know, sometimes we're in lockdown, and another time you're out of lockdown, and health is the major priority for everyone. You know, people have lost loved ones actually during this year. I personally have lost my grandmother to COVID just a couple of weeks after Muharram, actually during the Arba'een season. And so it's quite hard to believe that from a personal perspective, that some of the loved ones that we usually see and greet during Muharram, they're not around. I'll give you another personal story. I remember my grandfather, may Allah bless his soul, many years ago he passed away. I remember on the 10th of Muharram, I was very young at the time. He was with us. On the 10th of Muharram, day of Ashura, I was in the morning, we're going towards the majlis, and this man just would not stop crying. He just would not. He was in the car with us, and I was probably 7, 8 at the time. I just kept looking at him thinking, what is it that you are feeling, and what is this emotion? I know that Imam Hussein is important to you. He wasn't that important to me then, because I didn't understand the concept of Muharram and Sha'air and getting involved in majalis and service and khidmah. But I can see there was a deep grief in this man's face. And so yeah, years on, I then can start to remember that's why he was so emotional.
It can overtake an individual, right? It can overtake, and I remember, again, as we said, this was, you know, the only majlis. Maybe there was a couple of house things that we were doing with family members, and I remember on night one as well, before we then came here, we're at my uncle's place, and it was weird because just a few months before we were in Iraq, everything was normal, right? At that point, everything was normal. And I was there and I was like, whoa, we've taken it for granted, man. Yeah. Just that feeling of it's finished. Like, we don't know when we're going. At that point, you know, alhamdulillah, a lot of the brothers and sisters have gone, and may Allah keep all of the Zawar safe and the locals safe. But it felt like it was shut off again quite suddenly. And I'm just thinking about this, and I'm like, you know what, Muharram, and I mention in whenever I start in Muharram, I always say the same point, but I think it's so apt year after year, which is, if I ask you, March 23rd, 2020, what were you doing? You'll be like, no idea, right? Generic, right? Yeah. March 23rd, 2021. It's close to you, but like, still I haven't got a clue. Yeah. If I ask you, fine, June 15th, like, no idea. July, no idea. Last week, no idea. What were we doing Muharram 2020? And you can draw out this picture in your head.
Yeah,
And you're
okay.
like, yeah, I can remember. I was at this Husayniyah, this Husayniyah. What was your salah like at that time? Oh yeah, it was like this, it was like this, it was like this. What were your friends group like at that time? Oh yeah, you know what, I was probably not in the right friends group.
Yeah.
Everything, it's like a timestamp.
It also feels like a milestone, like every single year is a milestone. You always look back at that last year. You're right, as in you remember milestones, you remember
That's it.
memorable things that happen, and you remember the people that you were around, as you were mentioning, you're remembering what kind of person you were at that time as well. And I think every year there is, whether you like it or not, there is a certain type of remembrance. Like you do remember what you were like at that point in time, which is.
And the question is, am I any closer to Allah? It's great. I can recite, I can read, I can do the studio work, I can do the tabarruk, whatever. If I'm no closer to Allah, what was the point?
What's the point of it, yeah.
And I say this, and I deliberately, a touch contentiously, right? And I say a touch, and it's there's a lot of truth behind it, I think. What is the value of the red on the chest if we've not progressed towards Allah? There's value, but this is da'i Allah that we're trying to connect with, the caller unto Allah. So if the caller unto Allah is like, hey, I'm calling you unto Allah, we're like, labbaik ya Hussein, but I'm not following the call that you're telling me to go to, then it's a bit directionless.
I think it's a major issue actually that a lot of the youth aren't really grasping, is that they're getting involved in the cultural aspects of the tradition of mourning about Abdullah al-Hussein, but there's a very, very important lesson to be learned. And Imam al-Hussein, if you're still, as a human being in this day and age, if you're still light with your salah, Imam Hussein died for salah. If you're still light with family and friends, Imam Hussein died for this cause. There's a lot that Imam Hussein died for to give us that major lesson that we have to actually take the crux of why he actually went out. I'm not going out for any worldly affairs. I'm going out to resurrect the teachings of the Holy Prophet. What were the teachings of the Holy Prophet? Salah, Sawm, Zakat, and being close to your family members and the rest of it.
Values, godly values, Tawheed. There was a line in there, I'm just going to ask you, you can open up that poem you just recited, sorry, if it's easily to find.
Yeah, right here.
Allahumma razaqna shafa'at al-Hussein. And specifically also part about getting rid of my ignorance and making sure I'm humble, etc.
Yeah.
Something like this.
O Lord, remove from my heart all my sins and my arrogance. Let the world know Hussein's a king and I am but his servant.
So just this line.
Yeah.
I am, Hussein is a king and I am but a servant. Last year we spoke about Ziyarat Ashura, right? And we're going to do, inshallah, if Allah gives us the risk, we'll spend a couple of nights Ziyarat Ashura. We'll then go on to looking at Imam al-Mahdi's message and how that correlates to Imam Hussein's message. And we'll go through a few different things, right? But just on that, Hussein is the king, I am his servant. We open Ziyarat Ashura, Assalamu alayka, Ya Aba Abdullah. It's focused on not Hussein, not Mawlai, not Sayyidi, not Imam, not Malik, not king either actually. It's like, so who is it about? Aba Abdullah. It's about the father or the teacher, however you want to see it, of the abds of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of this sha'air is nothing except to follow in the footsteps of the guy who he himself is like, forget Hussein, I'm an abd of Allah. But you're the Imam, I'm an abd of Allah. But you're a Sayyid, you're abd of Allah. That's all it was for them. Abd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The difference between an abd and an abd is like, hey, I have no identity except I'm the slave of my owner. I'm an abd of Allah.
Yeah.
And that's all it points back to every single time. And I'm just thinking, again, timestamp. Have I got any closer in the last year?
Yeah.
What was the point of it last year if not?
Yeah. I think on this point of actually the Imams having this, they were so devout in their love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not being afraid, not just being a worshipper, but actually loving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and everything pointed to that direction. Imam Hussein alayhi salam in the day of Arafah, in the dua that we actually mentioned.
Beautiful dua.
Everything testifies to the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My eyes, my ears, my hair, my whole existence is geared and positioned to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Honestly.
And the fact that we have this love for Imam al-Hussein, which is sometimes unbelievable.
Yeah.
But we stop short of actually taking on the lessons of Imam Hussein and what he actually stood for.
I kind of see it in a weird way, right? Which is a doctor says to you, okay, you want the cure. Come to me, I'll give you the cure. Come. You'll attend that GP appointment. You won't miss it. You'll be there bang on time, whatever, whatever, whatever. Gives you all this advice, take this medication, whatever, 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 in order to get better. You go home, you don't bother. Yeah. But I visited the GP. Yeah, bro, it's not going to do anything. Yeah, exactly. Oh, but I visit him every single time he calls me.
Yeah. But you don't
I don't go to work. I make sure, I cancel work and I make sure I go visit the GP. Yeah, but he's told you to do A, B, C. Oh, I'm not feeling the spiritual effects.
Yeah.
You go to Hussein, but you're not following his teachings.
It's a very good point, actually.
What's the point,
it's
right?
It's a very, very good point.
And it's something very subtle that the tafsir talks about, where it's saying, look, you're declaring this salam, this state of peace upon the imam, right? It's not just a physical peace. Fine, well, I won't attack his grave, I won't do anything nonsensical like this. But it's a spiritual declaration of peace. So if I'm not going to attack his grave, fine, that's the physical side, but I also can't attack his soul with my ghiba, with my lying, with my backbiting, yet on the plane towards there, but during the setup for the majlis, or after the majlis, or during the majlis, I'm on my phone spreading some gossip.
What do you think is the major drawback? Like, what's the major thing holding them back from actually taking on those lessons and actually taking the medication, as you mentioned? Great analogy.
If we had the answer, then we wouldn't have the issue.
It's really fascinating. It's like we know what the answer is, but no one's actually willing to really take it on board.
The only hypothesis I have is this, and someone shared something today, and it really summarized it well, and of course I've forgotten how they summarized it. But anyway, point is this. Anything in life we know worth having, struggle. Right? It's never going to come easy. Yeah. It's struggle. Everyone's like, I want to have this spiritual ascension. I want to feel a lot. I want to be in this whatever. But the lifestyle we're in is about getting it quick. Don't work hard for it. But we know it's a struggle. It's meant to be difficult. Allah tests His servants in order to see how much conviction you're going to have, how much you're going to come back to me. Sayyidina Zainab alayhi salam, and I will never ever get over this line, and I'll repeat it a million times, and I hope no one ever gets fed up of it. How is she able to stand there, see what she's seen, and still come out with that line that there's nothing but beauty in front of her? That is a level of, I've gone through struggle, and still I only see beauty, right? But for us, we see one challenge, everything's out the pram. All those visitations, those thousands of pounds or dollars or whatever you've spent, I wouldn't say wasted, but they're not going to good use. But anyway, we don't want to spend too much time on that. I thought, as I said, this session is a bit more reflective. It's for us to think about. We said we'll talk a little bit about this service of Hussein, the shafa of Hussein. When it comes to the opening night, what is it that's, what recitations are you typically thinking, this is what I want to be focusing on?
Yeah, so I think the tradition has always been kind of remembering farewell. The farewell of Imam Hussein
from Medina.
From Medina. But in Karbala, things have changed slightly, and it's transferred to the UK and therefore in our local centres, in the sense that the first night or two is dedicated to the opening of Muharram. And the hilal, the moon of Muharram, and what that actually brings. And so a lot of poetry is geared towards looking at that moon. That same moon witnessed the calamities of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein in Karbala. So a lot of the poetry that I'm reading and I'm seeing from different reciters, especially in the Arabic world, is geared towards the opening of Muharram, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, and his message, but also the khidmah part of it. So and one of the poems I actually recited today in one of the majalis was Bab al-Husayniyya. So I forgot the Arabic. I've got it written down somewhere. I've got the Arabic, but it basically means at the door of the Husayniyya, do a sajda shukr. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you life to be able to serve Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. And then it goes on further in saying, whoever attends that majlis, so after you've done the sajda shukr, whoever attends that majlis, Fatimah al-Zahra will be looking at them. Because we know obviously in the narrations that any majlis that has the mention of the Ahlul Bayt, particular Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, Fatimah al-Zahra is present in that majlis.
Inshallah.
So a lot of the poetry, again, as I mentioned, is geared towards either the hilal of Muharram, the moon of Muharram and the fact that it's a new month, and specifically relating it to that moon, witnessing Karbala and what calamities befell, and also the service for Imam Hussein, the start of the 10 nights, preparation for it.
من المهدي إلى اللهدي حسيني, right? From the cradle to the grave, Husseini. And it's this moon concept in the subcontinent, they have Chandrat, the night of the moon, which is like classic. It's again how they enter the 10 days as well, which is quite interesting. I guess in terms of anything you have prepared in this vein, I don't know if there's anything else, but maybe whilst you have a quick look. I'm just going to share something very briefly with the viewers, which is this, and it's really on this same notion of how valuable has this Muharram been. How valuable was the last Muharram? We have this concept when it comes to Salah that you can look at the gap between your last Salah and your next Salah and see if I committed a sin, then maybe the previous one wasn't quite on the level. And similarly, when we look back to that previous Muharram, to today's Muharram, what's changed? And if nothing's changed, it's time to try and make that genuine promise to ourselves. I'm going to give this a go. Through the intercession of Aba Abdullah, through the shafa' of Aba Abdullah, I'm going to try and get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm going to try and, when I do this service, before I begin, I'm going to take 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and give it a go. It needs to be practical. I'm going to take 10, 20 seconds and renew that intention. Why am I doing it? I recommend, for example, reciting Surah Al-Ikhlas before you begin it. Remember the oneness, the tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why we're doing it at the end of the day. It's to get closer to Him and nothing but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the vehicle that is Aba Abdullah. So just keep that in mind, especially when you are starting any of your service, as we begin these 10 days of lots of effort, lots of mourning, and lots of intensity. I know many of us will, for example, stay up till a lot later. We'll try and amend our schedules, and that's a beautiful thing. But remember, fundamentally, khidmat of Hussein is qurbatan ila Allah ta'ala. And with that, inshallah, we'll continue, and we'll listen to a brief recitation by Mulla Ali.
As we were mentioning in terms of the service of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, this is a poem written by Nouri Sardar quite a while ago, a few years ago actually, and I wanted to actually, during these verses of love, revisit some of the classics and see actually how poetry has changed over the years. But there are some, I would say, evergreen poetry that can be recited now, 10 years, 20 years in time, inshallah. And it's this particular one which I particularly liked from Haj Nouri. Till the day of my death, every step, every breath, every step, every breath is for you. Till the day of my death, every step, every breath, every step, every breath is for you. My soul and my body, everything within me. My soul and my body, everything within me is for you. An oath from my soul and my heart that from you never will I part. Oh Master, your beauty has captured my eye. For you all the tears that I cry flow rivers beside Hussein. I have known your name is always on my tongue. Oh Savior, a medicine to all my wounds. In my darkness, you are my
moon forever. To these words listen, O rose, throughout me your name it flows. Do you know it's you I chose, and my heart knows deep in sorrow. Whenever I can't stand, you take me by my hand. You take me by my hand toward you. My path, my destiny, everything within me. My path, my destiny, everything within me is for you. You've taken me out of this world, my heart over you has wailed. Oh, angel, without you I cannot think right. I walk without guidance or sight. I'm unwell against your name. I commit crimes, but I return time after time, cold and pale. I beg you now, take me with you. Never ever let me leave you. No farewell, and by God and by the skies I'm with you until I die. Every day for you I cry, beneath my eyes your body lies. Without you, what is life? What reason should I strive? What reason should I strive except you? My life, and so truly everything within me is for you, is for you. Since into my dark life you came, I was raised and lived by your name and your way. I wear your name upon my hand, whether in smiles or tears I stand every day. My heart's attached to your greatness. I can't breathe without your nearness. I'm away from life, away from death. Your sweet name absent from my breath. In tears I stay. Oh, flower of all my years, I see you so very near to the cursed sword of Shimil. So I shed tears, needing you here. All my tears and my blood testify I'm in love. Testify I'm in love with Hussein. And for your tragedy, everything within me. And for your tragedy, everything within me is for you.
When we say these lines, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah, contemplate on it. This ziyarat Ashura that is recommended for us, not just once a year on Yawm al-Ashur, not just once a month, not just once a week. Our grand scholars recommend this. Try and recite it every day. And in these 10 days of Ashur Muharram, try and recite it every day. But contemplate on that first line. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. This peace, this level of salam, this infinite level of salam that we want to pass on to Aba Abdullah from As-Salam al-Mutlaq, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, towards not Hussein, not Sayyidi, not Mawlai, but towards Aba Abdullah. The reason for giving him this salam is because he is Aba Abdullah. All his value is because of Aba Abdullah, is because he is an abd of Allah, nothing else. Any value that we have through our service to him should therefore only be because it's qurbatan ilallah. I really pray, dear brothers and sisters, that this point is super clear for us on this first night. That it's something that can, inshallah, be a catalyst for our Muharram, add a new dimension to ensure we find something godly in every single item of service that we do. And just remember this, when you say that line, Assalamu alayka, you're saying alayka. You're saying to you. You're directly in a conversation, in a dialogue with your Imam. When you next recite that line, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah, think, am I truly ready to be in a dialogue with my Imam? And the etiquette of someone is that when you direct something towards them, they will reply. And therefore we must ask the question, for however many years I've been saying it, 27 for me, why have I still not heard that reply? Is it because he's not replying, or is it because my soul is unable to hear it? Insha'Allah, may this Muharram be blessed. Inshallah, you'll be able to join us every night as we continue with our lamentations and our reflections. But for now, we head to Karbala with our dear brother, Ahmed Ali. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.